Welcome to Open Tech Talks TV. Today, let's welcome Marnie Wills to our show.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
Thank you, Marnie, for joining us. And now, maybe for audience, if you can introduce yourself and then where are you based and what are you doing nowadays?
Sure. So, I'm based just south of London in the UK. I am a multi passionate entrepreneur. So, I've always had a few businesses on the go. I am currently the founder of Sporty Minis, which is an early years physical education business that's been running for 11 years. And we now have regions of which I follow a business partnership model. So we kind of grow and expand that way. And I'm also the founder of Business with AI Strategist, which is a consulting company that helps businesses adopt generative AI and stay ahead of the game.
That's interesting. Stay ahead of the game. So, I think our audience will be more interested to learn how they can be or they can stay ahead in the market while working with the generative AI. And that's has, as you know, it's from last 2 years, so much disruption is happening everywhere. So maybe let's start with that one. And I think maybe you start with your own story or journey. That will help to build a context. What do you think?
Sure. Yeah, sure. So I was trying to franchise my Sporty Minis business
Mm-hmm.
in 2021.
Okay.
I hired a copywriter, and the copywriter was such an amazing lady, but actually, because I didn't really know who I was targeting in my message, she really struggled to
Mm-hmm.
then write the copy. And we stumbled on a tool called Jasper AI, which we all know
Got it.
now, which is one of the
Yeah.
top copywriting tools. Jasper AI really changed my world in many, many ways. First of all, because of COVID, I'd moved a gym that I'd had in London as well. I'd moved that online. So not only did I have an online health and fitness business, which at the beginning of the journey during COVID and just
Mm-hmm.
after was flying because everybody was moving online. So there was lots of business to be had. But then by the end of 2021, start of 2022, the market was saturated. So I had to really niche about who I was really targeting online. So along with needing to do the niching, along with needing to create franchises for my Sporty Minis business, I use Jasper all the time to help with those messaging because as we know with generative AI, it's very creative and it can give you
Mm-hmm.
things that you like that you didn't even know you wanted or even could ever imagine creating. So that was the start of my AI journey. Obviously, ChatGPT came out in 2022 and I was obsessed. By the middle of 2023, I changed my franchise model to a business partnership model,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd
Mm-hmm.
exited my health and fitness business because I created enough digital assets to be able to sell those on. And then one of my trainers was able to rebrand. Honestly, thank you to AI. Within less than 2 years, both of my
Mm-hmm.
businesses have had a dramatic change. And I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for AI, generative AI. So that's kind of my journey. And then for the last 12 plus months, I've been delivering workshops for solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, small SMEs in the UK to help them learn about initially about 12 months ago, it was what is AI? What is ChatGPT? How do you
Right.
use it? How do you keep
Right.
safe? How do you be AI compliant? Like that's what it was 12 months ago to now, for many businesses, I'm building platforms for them using no code. So become a vibe coder. I mean, I'm a non-techie person, you know, it's absolutely hilarious to my friends and my family to be on the Open Tech Talks podcast because there is nothing tech about anything that I've done previously. So there's a lot of myths out there to be busted around generative AI being tech, needing to be techie. I fundamentally disagree. I think it's got to do with two things. One, being curious about what AI can do for you, help you with, make you better at, collaborate with, and two, the ability to ask questions. The more you can ask questions and ask the AI to ask you questions, the better output you're going to be. So I think that's, hopefully a long story short about where I am now and how I got to where I was.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful experience and story and the vibe coding and all that. So it's, a lot of stuff to talk today. And even that's also reminded me from last 2-3 months, I was also thinking, you know, show name is Open Tech Talks and then technology was talking. And I was keep thinking, man, before let me move from technology to AI worth talking. So I think today you reminded me of that one. So maybe that's update I need to do. All right. Now, as for our listeners, maybe for them, the important thing will be, okay, is there any practical examples of AI implementation which you have gone through, which can be shared so that they can take as an action item for them? And those could be for their businesses, their personal domain, and any way.
Yeah, sure. So I guess I view the adoption and implementation of AI as a bit of a journey. Like we're on this timeline of a journey and people are at different stages. So the advice I give, I think is relevant for everybody, but I'm probably going to start at the beginning of where I think people should start and then keep moving on. And, depending on the audience and where they're listening might be where they pick it up. But I think because we've had such, and I know you would 100% agree, because we've had such a massive transformation in how AI is used from humans, day-to-day use from humans, and it's going to continue to have mass adoption, but the day-to-day use from humans, it means there's been a massive shift in the way we use it in business. But I also think that most people are missing the trick about where AI can add the most value. And like I said at the beginning, be a real game changer and a real win for a business. So first of all, I would start with, it's very, very important, I believe, that you customize and train your AI models so that you can really start to get the best out of a model, because AI is a generic chatbot, as we know. It's trained on, so much data, but at the end of the day, we need to give it more context. We need to give it a second brain, and it needs to know a lot about us individually and or the business. So I would say always start with training the AI and customizing as much as possible. The second thing I would say is what's really, really important is the use of an array of different tools, and realizing that the tools you use become your AI first mindset and your operating system. So, I still can't believe the amount of people that, will use ChatGPT like Google. They'll ask it simple
Hmm.
questions instead of realizing that, you could ask it to be more curious about certain situations. Or if you wanted to use it more like Google, I would, highly suggest going to Perplexity AI as an example. I think the tools that we use need to become as our AI first operating system. The most underutilized tools by far are Google Notebook LM, Abacus AI, 100% underutilized along with Perplexity. And I think agents like GenSpark as well are really underutilized. I mean, those tools alone I use a dozen times a day. So I think
Hmm.
the next step, like I said, is about creating that AI first mindset, of which you have a whole lot of, I would say 5 to 6 tools that become your AI operating system. And every time you're ready to do a task, you think, can AI do this with me quicker, faster, better, more collaborative, more creative? And everything you do is that next step. So that's what I'd say the second step is. And then the next thing is to reimagine what you can do in a day. And what I mean by that is, I'm a very task driven entrepreneur. I come from a
Hmm.
competitive athlete background. So I'm like, here's my tasks to do. They all link into, my goals, my 90-day KPIs, they all link into that. But I even surprise myself now about how much I can get through in a day, because I have a chief operating officer GPT,
Hmm.
of
Right.
which I own the data. And I think that's really important, because this leads on to the next bit, is I own the data. It is on a white labeled platform of which I can access all of my chats. And if I share any of the GPTs I create, I can also see the chats that are being had.
Mm.
When I go and share a GPT on ChatGPT, I don't own that data. OpenAI owns that
Right.
data. So
Yep.
where we have to move to is having the ability to own our own data. And that's important because we are moving to AI agents. We will, in 2, 3 years' times max, each have AI agents that are communicating with websites. So websites are going to look different. We'll have AI agents communicating with our customers, whether that be potential customers, whether that be the customers we have now. We'll have AI agents ordering our shopping, ordering our food, doing many, many things for us. And in order to train those AI agents, we need to give it the data that we've been using and chatting with AI about. And at the moment, we really don't own that data. So my second bit is around creating your own AI model would be the next step. And by doing that, you're really reframing what you can get done in a day because you have your AI already there for you, whether that's your chief, your chief officer, whether that's your, I don't know, your board of directors, whether that's you create a VA, whatever. So, and then lastly, vibe coding. I don't even know, a year ago that
Right?
term didn't even exist. But vibe coding is where you talk to a AI that is able to create a platform for you. And ChatGPT 5 is starting and has. I still think it's not quite there yet, but you can do it. You can use Lovable. You can do Replit. I just started using one called Go Mocha,
Raw
which is
code.
quite, yeah. So all no code stuff. And you basically just communicate with it and say, this is an example that I just done last week for a published author who is also a keynote speaker. She's looking for more opportunities. So I went to Abacus, a deep agent, and I said, I need a list of keynote opportunities for this UK author. I want all the business events, all the internal conferences, all of those things, got all those details, fed it into, we used Lovable platform, and then asked it to create a CRM system for her for these opportunities that allow her to outsource it to a VA that not only can apply for these for her, but also links to a GPT that's got all the information trained on her. So the VA can go see the opportunity on the no code platform that was
No
created,
code.
apply for the keynote speaking opportunity via the GPT, and then have the CRM system that can be updated and viewed by the author so that she knows what opportunities are coming up and what's been applied for and what her pipeline kind of looks like. And we did all that in 90 minutes. It is insane.
Wonderful. I'm impressed. With non-technology background, the way you're explaining, the way you're using the tool. And that's my next question. If someone is listening from our audience, how they can learn what you did in last 2 years. It's amazing.
How did I do it? Or what my recommendations would be?
Yeah, what are your recommendations for them? You did it amazing work. There's no doubt.
Okay, well, I'll just paint a picture of what life looks like for a multi-passionate
Yeah.
entrepreneur who's an athlete and a mum of two. I become mum's taxi, between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. I'm driving, and I am, after I've dropped them off, of course, because it's conversations with my children, but I am keeping up to date with all the AI knowledge that is out there that's being done. Now, I am a auditory listener, so I do all of my learning basically by credible sources on YouTube. There's just a few that I can rattle off. There's a guy called Liam Otley he's now in New Zealand, but he was based in Dubai, and he set up Morningside AI, which is an agency, and he's been on the journey for 3 years now, and I've kind of followed his journey and learnt from him. Matt Wolf from Future Tools AI, he has a lot of really, really good information. There's another handful. I mean, if you use Perplexity AI and you looked up, top 10 AI creators, you would get some really credible sources, and you just follow those people. That's what I do. I follow those people. Sometimes I listen on YouTube at 1.5 speed. Sometimes I put all that information into a notebook, Google Notebook LM, and I ask it to create, a tutorial for me, sometimes a mind map, lots of things. I learn that way. I use the AI to learn. The second thing is I have a conversation on voice mode with many AIs because they're all slightly different. They all have different vibes. They all make you think slightly different, and they ask different questions, which I think, again, kind of adds to your expertise of understanding the different AI models. So that's the second thing. I have conversations all day long. And then I think probably the third thing, again, and I've probably already covered this, but it is that AI first mindset. How can I collaborate with an AI to do this quicker, faster? Just as an example, and this might not appeal to all of your audience, but I have an operations manager, a business partner in my Sporty Minis business, and his role was to create the outlines for the sessions for the coaches in his region. And we have it all there already, but I like high quality. So I'm like, right, let's revisit this. How can we make this better? And he, he started to use ChatGPT to give him details. And I said to him, what you've done is great. However, you're using a generic chatbot. Have you fed it all of our information already? You need to do that in a project if you want to keep that intellectual property safe. Secondly, have you added custom instructions? Are you saying you need to be an expert physical education provider with these? Like, are you giving extensive instructions? Thirdly, have you also really elaborated on its second brain? So rather than just giving it just our lesson plans, can you look at the P national curriculum and give it even more? The more information you can give it, the more custom instructions, the better output you're going to do. So, that's what I was doing today as well, is teaching him that next level of trying to make sure that you're getting the best quality out of your AI. Because where we're at the moment is, and I really hope I don't offend anyone with this, but there are many lazy users of AI out there. Like, honestly, so lazy. And it's really giving AI a bad name, I guess. And especially in marketing, like the content creation, it's just, phew, it blows my mind. But, and the lazy users they are asking AI for some content or some output to be creative, aren't giving it any context or any instructions. They aren't asking it to have some extra human connection or experience. I call it domain expertise, our knowledge, our experience, our perspective as humans. We aren't asking the AI to ask us anything about what we
Hmm.
think about this.
Hmm.
How can we add different? What stories can we add? What is our expertise? What do we really think? Because at the end of the day, it's artificial intelligence, but it's there to amplify intelligence, not replace our intelligence. So, and that's where these lazy users are coming from. They're just trying to let the AI do it for them instead of having it collaborate with them. And that's where we're at, which is a bit unfortunate. And I don't think the lazy users, I like to call them, which is a nice word, I don't think they mean it intentionally. We've just been given this amazing technology of which we haven't been educated on how to use its to its best of its ability. So everyone's doing the best they can with what they've got. And I think this is where I become quite passionate, because I'm like, oh, I can help you do this better. Oh, I can help you do, I can really help you be a like immense business leader by creating collaborative AI operating systems for you.
Okay, very good. Now, and I think you mentioned it, that where you created your own model and then you start training, you're giving the data. And that brings me to the question of, and this is common for everyone, this ethical consideration, either it's during implementation of projects or maybe personally using it. So whatever the way you want to share your views on that.
So I have a bit of probably not a popular view. And my view is
Hmm.
that I don't think much of our information is intellectual property, especially entrepreneurs, businesses, unless you're in the market of, I don't know, client data, patient data. Maybe I worked with a designer. He was a business
Right.
construction designer, and he had, a lot of the information he has is like, listed buildings. So, quite private, I guess, from that perspective. But not all of us have that information. Most of us, I
Right.
believe, I believe for the next generation, of which my children are Gen Alphas, I think we need to share as much as we can, because the AI is created on the information that was already out there to the world.
Right.
If we don't add any more information because we're like, oh, we don't want to share it to the AI because it will get around, then how are we
Hmm.
adding value to the next generation? And if we become those lazy users and just use AI generated content in this big circle, how are we adding value to the
Hmm.
next generation? So I have a slight, maybe unpopular view from that perspective. I don't really believe in intellectual property from there. But again, I'm not a creative, I'm not a musician, I'm not, in the
Right.
film industry. I'm in the business. And most of the time, business is about education of clients, really, if you think about it, and you're solving a problem in the market. That's what business is about. So I guess I kind of come in from that perspective. But the models are getting smarter, um, and there's ability to toggle off the use for training. There's now OS models, so open source models that you can now download on your computer. There's one just recently come out, I believe, by Gemini as well, which you can download on your phone and use within your phone offline. So everything is protected from that way. But I think the reality is, do we really have privacy? Is anything private these days? I don't know if you follow the Diary of a CEO, but just last week he had a CIA agent on that released a book, um, and basically there was about a 5-minute segment in there about there's no such thing as privacy, digital privacy. No, I don't. Yeah, I I have a slightly skewed business head view on. And I also believe I'm a very optimistic person. So I'm like, yeah, share everything. Everything's going to be okay.
Right. Okay. So, and now from Olas over the last 1 year, which you said that you started supporting, helping SMBs or small business owners and all that. So, is there any common patterns or challenges which you observed they're facing?
Yeah. A few. I think the first is overwhelm. I think the
True.
bigger, I was working with a marketing agency who are in the digital realm. They should
hmm
really be all up with AI, but they're just so
Right.
overwhelmed. How do they keep up? Where do you start? You know, and my answer to that is you need AI, you need like trusted sources, whether that's somebody
hmm
within your team that is upskilling themselves and able to share with you, whether that's a leader that really take like an owner of the business, or an ops manager of the business that really takes leadership in learning how to use AI to the best of their ability personally, because I think that is the key. I think if the leaders in the business understand the use of AI personally, I think that the business has a better chance of adopting and using within the business to streamline a lot of processes. So, but again, a lot of the time the issue is overwhelm. They don't know where to start. And how do you learn these
hmm
things, And unfortunately, to become an expert at something, you need to do 10,000 hours. So, start using 2, 3, 4 hours a day, because that's how quickly we need to learn this technology. And then I think the other big issue, I believe, is that businesses think that automations, like AI and automations, go hand in hand, and you should start with automations. Maybe an unpopular view, but I believe automations are last. I honestly believe automations are last. Automations are so different. They're so different from the perspective of, you can have an AI, you can have a large learning model within an
hmm
automation, but at the end of the day,
hmm
most business processes, key business processes that are really like money generating, like make a difference, make an impact, real game
hmm
changing, require human
hmm
input. They still require human input, and you can't automate that. But what you can do is you can amplify the human in that process. And we do that via AI. And that is always where I start with a business. They always go, oh, can I just automate a few things? And I'm like, that's low hanging fruit that is not going to make the impact that you need. So we kind of put that to the end. And when we've got the leaders in the business really understanding how they can use AI to amplify themselves and the other humans within the business, then we go, okay, where can we automate these? And then where can we create via
hmm
vibe coding as an example, where can we create platforms for our customers to be able to interact with us, right? Because at the end of the day, your customers normally want information first and foremost, and then they want to talk to a human. And most people get that wrong, and they think, they want to talk to a human straight away. No, they don't. They just want information. And if if you're the right company for them or the right person for them, because of the information you shared, that not you've shared, but your agent has shared, or whatever you've done and created for the customer, then they'll reach out to you, and then you can have the human connection. So yeah, they're the two things for me. One is overwhelm, which I completely understand. And two is thinking that AI is automations. And I think automations is the last place you should start.
Yeah. And I agree that one. And I was also reading like we used to say 10,000 hours of work. Now those becomes 10K prompts, right? It's 10K prompts. And then I'm also observing the same thing where, there's a lot of knowledge, courses, everywhere things are available. The key question is, if personally my friends, colleagues, they're approaching me, where do we start? Like okay, where do we start? So maybe give us some easy formula that, okay, this step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Because I'm also personally observing it. I mean, it's not a formula, but it's like, okay, there's a path. So there are 100 courses that you go to Google, you go to ask to anyone, they will give you so many things. So is there a simplified, okay, where we start? So that's I'm also observing. Same way you started overwhelming the problem which we have. All right.
I'm going to sound really
Yeah.
brutal, but you start
Okay.
by using AI every day. with that AI first mindset. Like download Perplexity AI, download ChatGPT, download Claude. They're the three that I would start with 100%. And then when you start to realize what AI can do for you, then you can start to create projects, and then you start to create your GPTs, and then move on to using agents, whether that's deep research within those three platforms, or whether that's my favorite is GenSpark and Deep Agent on Abacus AI. Like there's plenty out there. So you start by educating yourself, like finding those one or two people to follow.
Mhm.
Um,
Mm.
and then you have to use every day. But here's where might sound like I'm contradicting myself. I actually think courses are dead. I think the way that we used to learn is changing
Learn.
so much. Learn from the AI. I'm going to sound horrible to all these people that have created courses, but you're not going to learn by watching someone's course that they've created on AI. You're going to learn by following one or two AI news YouTube channels that tell you the capabilities of AI. And then you're going to
Mhm.
just practice on your own, because it's really not that hard. And I
Mhm.
do a lot of strategy, AI strategy, but sometimes when I
Right.
need things created, I have my own VA who then goes and
Right.
creates things for me. So I create a lot of AI tutors on Notebook LM, and I share them with my
Mhm.
clients. So I say, here is a notebook on ChatGPT. Every time you're about to do a task on ChatGPT, ask this notebook, which is the Gemini
Mhm.
AI, ask this
Mhm.
notebook
Mhm.
how to do it most efficiently and what questions to ask and what prompts to use. I've created an AI tutor. Now, I do the strategy of
Mhm.
that, but my VA does the doing. So my point here is that you can watch these YouTube videos of the AI news, and just purely understanding the abilities of AI are going to help your knowledge and experience. You don't have to do the doing all the time.
Hmm.
The doing is just you personally having your own AI that you're talking to and doing things for. But just understanding what AI could do within a business is also a good step. So I'm not sure if that
Lo-
kind of answers that.
no, no, loved it. And then you rightly said that one. That also brought me to question of, okay, maybe in keeping in the future and with this AI, what are the future essential skills in this AI? How do you see it? Maybe it's a link to the what you just shared it.
Agents, like agents, and believe it or not, robots, human robots
Yeah.
they're being deployed at the end of this year, start of the new year. There's 10,000 going into American homes. The data that they're going to collect is going to be out of this world, which again is going to skyrocket the current large learning models abilities that they've already done. I mean, what they could achieve 6 months ago to what they can achieve now is out of, like, it is so hard to keep up with them. It's crazy with human robots. I think one of the companies are calling them human roboids. Oh, I've probably butchered that name, but let's just say robots in the homes. The data that they're going to collect is out of this world. So that means that we, as general users of large learning models, will be able to start thinking about how to task agents to be doing tasks for us. Now, I'm sure many of your audience know, but a chatbot is the large learning model of which you go back and forth with, and it won't do any actions without you explaining, right?
Right.
But as you know, an agent is different. It is, this is the outcome I want. The AI can reverse engineer that, do all the thinking, do all the steps, and create what you want. Now, they're two separate things. And unless you've experienced what an agent can do, I think you don't really realize that is the world we're moving to. Our websites are going to need
Got
to
it.
be agent friendly, all of those things. So next steps, future, all about the agents.
All right. Thank you so much for spending time and sharing valuable inputs, recipes, suggestions, all mind blowing. Thank you. So
Thank you.
if someone wants to reach out to you to get some help, maybe some suggestion or anything, what is the best medium where they can reach out to you?
Yeah, so I'm personally on LinkedIn, Marnie Wills. You can find me there. My business is called Business with AI Strategist, also on LinkedIn. And we've got Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Business with AI Strategist. However, my agents are normally doing, I've got agents posting on there for me. So if you want to personally talk to me, reach out on LinkedIn. Otherwise, any of my channels, you'll see all my free resources on the website, all of those things. Just look for Business with AI Strategist.
Thank you so much for joining. Thank you.
Thank you.